I didn't really accept it at first until I tried it on myself. Years of clinical experience had already shown me a pattern in older adults, especially those above 75. The change doesn't happen loudly. It starts quietly. Sitting down still feels normal, nothing seems wrong, but getting back up starts to feel slightly delayed. Not painful, just slower, like the body is not responding instantly the way it used to. That small delay is often ignored, but in medical practice it's one of the earliest signs of declining neuromuscular coordination. I saw it again and again in patients who were otherwise active and doing everything they were told, walking daily, staying mobile, avoiding rest. Yet something was still fading. At first, I also believed the standard advice. Walk more, stay active, keep moving. And while that helps with general health, I began noticing something important. Walking alone often maintains function, but doesn't always rebuild lost strength in specific stabilizing muscles. That realization changed my entire approach. Instead of focusing on long routines or exhausting workouts, I started testing something much simpler. Chair-based movements. Slow, controlled, extremely specific exercises that target coordination, balance, and muscle activation in a very direct way. What surprised me most was not the intensity of these movements, but the precision. When the right muscle groups are activated correctly, even small exercises create noticeable changes in stability, posture, and response speed. In many cases, improvements started showing within days, not months. Not because the body suddenly became stronger, but because dormant muscle connections started firing again. So in this video structure, I want to walk through 5 seated exercises that progressively rebuild strength, balance, and mobility. These are arranged from foundational activation to full body coordination. And one of them is so simple that most people underestimate it completely, even though it has some of the strongest impact on daily mobility. Before starting, one important reminder: these movements are not about speed or effort. They are about control. Slow activation always beats fast repetition when it comes to rebuilding stability. Let's begin. Number 5. Seated diaphragmatic breathing with gentle spinal opening. We start with something that doesn't look like exercise at all. But functionally, it is one of the most powerful ways to reactivate the body's internal control system. This movement combines slow breathing with a gentle extension of the upper spine while seated. It works on posture, oxygen efficiency, and nervous system regulation at the same time. Most people underestimate breathing exercises because they feel too simple. But research in aging physiology consistently shows that breathing mechanics decline with age, especially diaphragmatic engagement. When that happens, the upper chest takes over breathing, posture collapses slightly forward, and energy levels drop. To perform this correctly, sit near the front of a stable chair with feet flat on the ground. Place your hands on your thighs and relax your shoulders. Inhale slowly through your nose for about 4 seconds. As you breathe in, gently expand your stomach outward instead of lifting your shoulders. At the same time, allow your chest to open slightly and your upper back to extend just a little. It should feel like you are becoming taller, not leaning backward. Hold that expanded position briefly, then exhale slowly for about 6 seconds through your mouth while returning to a neutral upright posture. This slow rhythm activates the diaphragm more effectively and also encourages better spinal alignment. Over time, it helps reduce stiffness in the upper back and improves breathing efficiency during daily activities like walking or climbing stairs. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Even a few cycles done daily can help reset posture habits and calm the nervous system, which plays a major role in balance and movement control. Number 4. Seated knee squeeze activation for inner thigh stability. Now, we move to a muscle group that is often ignored, but extremely important for stability when standing or walking: the inner thigh muscles. These muscles help control leg alignment and prevent sideways imbalance. When they weaken, the body becomes less stable during weight shifts, especially when turning or stepping unevenly. For this exercise, sit upright with feet flat on the floor. Place a soft object like a folded towel or cushion between your knees. Now gently squeeze your knees inward, pressing against the object. Hold that pressure for about 5 seconds, then slowly release. What makes this exercise effective is not just the squeeze, but the sustained activation. Holding the contraction forces deeper muscle fibers to engage, especially those responsible for joint stability. While performing it, avoid leaning forward or tightening your entire body. The effort should come only from the inner thighs. With regular practice, this movement improves lower body coordination and helps reduce wobbling during standing transitions, especially when getting up from a chair or bed. It also reinforces control during side-to-side movement, which is one of the most common directions of imbalance in older adults. Number 3. Seated hip outward press for balance and walking strength. This exercise directly targets one of the most important stability muscles in the entire lower body, the outer hip muscles. These muscles control pelvic stability when walking. Every step you take depends on them keeping your hips level. If they weaken, the body begins to sway slightly from side to side, which increases fall risk significantly. To perform this movement, sit with your back straight and feet about hip-width apart. Place your hands on the outside of your knees or use a resistance band around the thighs if available. Now press your knees outward against the resistance. Hold that outward pressure for about 4 seconds before slowly releasing. The goal is controlled outward force, not movement speed. You should feel activation on the outer sides of your hips and upper thighs. This exercise is especially powerful because it restores lateral control. Most daily movements don't happen in a straight line. They involve shifts, turns, and weight transfers. Strengthening this area improves confidence during all of those actions. With time, people often notice they feel more stable while walking on uneven ground or turning quickly because the body reacts faster to balance changes. Number 2. Seated ankle mobility circles for joint reactivation. Now, we come to one of the most underrated movements in all of lower body conditioning, ankle mobility. The ankle is the foundation of nearly every movement involving standing, walking, or balance. When ankle mobility decreases, the entire chain above it, knees, hips, and even lower back, starts compensating. To do this exercise, sit comfortably and lift one foot slightly off the floor. Slowly rotate your ankle in a circular motion. First clockwise, then counterclockwise. Each circle should be controlled and complete, not rushed or small. The key here is range of motion. The more fully you move the joint, the more small stabilizing muscles become active. Avoid moving the entire leg. Only the ankle should be working. If the leg moves too much, the exercise loses its isolating effect. This movement improves joint awareness, which directly contributes to better balance during walking. It also helps reduce stiffness that often builds up after long periods of sitting. Even simple daily practice can noticeably improve how stable the feet feel during movement transitions, especially when standing up or turning. Number 1. Seated arm raises with controlled hold for full upper body integration. This final movement brings everything together by combining strength, control, and coordination in the upper body. Many people think arm exercises are only about shoulder strength, but in reality, shoulder mobility affects posture, balance, and even walking rhythm more than most realize. To perform this movement, sit upright with arms resting at your sides. Slowly raise both arms outward and upward until they reach as high as comfortably possible. Do not force the movement beyond your natural range. Once your arms reach the top position, hold them there for about 3 seconds before slowly lowering them back down over several seconds. That controlled pause at the top is where the real benefit happens. It activates stabilizing muscles around the shoulder joint that are often underused in daily life. The slow lowering phase is equally important because it strengthens muscles during controlled descent, which directly translates into better functional strength for everyday tasks like lifting objects or reaching shelves. If needed, light objects like water bottles can be added later for progression, but only once control is fully developed. Over time, this exercise improves shoulder range, posture alignment, and upper body coordination, making daily movements smoother and less tiring. Conclusion: what makes these 5 seated exercises powerful is not complexity, but precision. Each one targets a specific system in the body that tends to weaken with age: breathing control, inner stability, hip balance, ankle mobility, and upper body coordination. When practiced consistently, these movements don't just build strength, they rebuild communication between muscles and the nervous system. And that is the real foundation of mobility. No gym is required. No equipment is necessary. Only a chair, a few minutes, and consistency. With time, movements that once felt slightly slow, like standing up, turning, or walking, begin to feel more responsive again. And that is the goal. Not intensity, but control. If applied regularly, these small exercises can quietly transform how the body feels and functions in daily life, often in ways that people don't expect until they experience it themselves.